Imagine a world where oil prices skyrocket, flights halt globally, markets crash, and countries worldwide are drawn into a conflict they never wanted. A world where the Middle East is the epicenter of a conflict that ripples out, affecting every corner of the globe. This isn't a dystopian novel. It's the possible reality we face as tensions between the United States and Iran inch closer to the brink of war. A war that isn't confined to a single geographical location, but one that could ignite a chain reaction of economic and political fallout worldwide. On February 28, 2026, a new chapter in this ongoing saga was written. The United States and Israel launched approximately 900 strikes within a matter of hours. Their targets? Iran's nuclear sites, military bases, and leadership. The result? Iran's top leadership was decimated and a full-scale retaliation was triggered. Iran's response was swift and fierce. Missiles and drones were launched across the Middle East, targeting US bases and disrupting oil routes. The Strait of Hormuz, a critical artery through which 20% of the world's oil passes, was threatened. This wasn't just a strike. It was a calculated move that elevated the situation from a regional concern to a global risk. The seeds of this conflict didn't sprout overnight. The roots can be traced back to the nuclear weapons tension, US distrust since 1979, and the failed nuclear deal. Both the United States and Iran perceive each other as threats. This mutual distrust has been simmering for decades, creating a volatile situation where any misstep can trigger a catastrophic chain reaction. Right now, it's not a full-blown war, but it's worse. Ceasefire talks are underway, but the US is expanding its blockade globally. Congress is divided about continuing the war. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and we could find ourselves back at square one. This is the reality we face if tensions between Iran and the USA escalate into full-blown war. It's not just about two countries locked in a power struggle. It's about the ripple effect of their conflict, the domino effect that could drag the entire world into a war nobody wants. The clock started ticking on February 28, 2026, a day that will go down in history. On this day, the United States, in collaboration with Israel, orchestrated one of the most significant military operations in the Middle East. Approximately 900 strikes were launched in mere hours, and the targets were not random. They were meticulously chosen: nuclear sites, military bases, and the leadership of Iran. The strikes were effective, devastatingly so. Iran's top leadership was decimated, leaving a power vacuum in its wake. But this wasn't just a hit and run. The repercussions of such an audacious move were felt immediately. Iran, a nation known for its resilience and strategic prowess, didn't take long to respond. The retaliation was swift and intense. Iran launched missiles and drones across the Middle East, a clear statement that it would not be cowed by the strikes. The targets were pointed, US bases in the region were hit, oil routes were targeted, and the Strait of Hormuz, a vital waterway through which a fifth of the global oil supply passes, was threatened. The tension was palpable. The world watched, holding its breath, as the events unfolded. It seemed like the brink of a full-blown war. But then something unexpected happened. The situation didn't escalate into a full war. Instead, it morphed into something potentially even more dangerous, a global risk. Suddenly, the world was on edge. A sense of unease hung in the air. The possibility of a chain reaction was all too real. If this situation escalated, it wouldn't just be a war between the United States and Iran. It would pull in multiple countries, disrupt global markets, and potentially plunge the world into an economic crisis. It was at this point that what started as a strike began to look like a global risk. The question on everyone's mind was not when the war would start, but rather how long before the situation became uncontrollable. And when it did, it wouldn't stay confined to the Middle East. This clash didn't just materialize in 2026, its roots lie deep within history. To understand the current high-stakes standoff, we need to journey back in time. The relationship between Iran and the USA has been fraught with tension for decades, a complex web of mistrust and miscommunication. Let's start with an element that's been a constant thorn in the side of relations between these two nations: nuclear weapons. Iran's pursuit of nuclear capabilities has long been a point of contention. The West, led by the USA, has always been apprehensive about Iran's nuclear ambitions. Next, we venture back to the year 1979, a pivotal moment in the history of Iran-US relations. The Iranian Revolution saw the overthrow of the US-backed Shah and the establishment of an Islamic Republic. The subsequent hostage crisis, where 52 American diplomats and citizens were held captive for 444 days, marked a turning point, cementing deep-seated distrust between the two nations. Fast forward to more recent history, we arrive at the failed nuclear deal. Known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, this agreement was intended to limit Iran's nuclear program in exchange for the lifting of economic sanctions. But the deal fell apart when the United States withdrew in 2018, exacerbating tensions and leading us to the current standoff. So, you see, this situation didn't just spring up overnight. It's a culmination of decades of tension, mistrust, and failed diplomacy. Both sides view each other as threats, creating a dangerous standoff. It is this complex history that underpins the current crisis. And understanding this context is crucial as we navigate the potential paths this conflict could take. Right now, we're in a state of suspended animation, teetering on the brink of full-scale war. It's a delicate dance as both sides maneuver for advantage, each seeking to gain the upper hand without triggering a global conflict. In the midst of this high-stakes chess game, ceasefire talks are happening. But these discussions are as fragile as a house of cards. They're fraught with tension and mistrust, each side wary of the other's intentions. Will they lead to peace, or are they merely a prelude to further escalation? Meanwhile, the United States is expanding its blockade globally, tightening the screws on Iran. This move is aimed at squeezing the life out of Iran's economy, forcing it to capitulate. However, it's not as straightforward as it sounds. There's a divided opinion in Congress about continuing the war. Some argue for pressing on, believing that victory is within reach. Others caution against further escalation, warning that it could plunge the world into a catastrophic conflict. But this isn't just about Iran and the USA. Other players are involved too, each with their own agendas and interests. Israel, a close ally of the United States, is deeply entangled in this conflict. Gulf countries too are targeted, their security and stability threatened by the shadow of war. NATO is reacting, grappling with the implications of a potential conflict that could engulf its member states. Russia and China are watching, their eyes fixed on the unfolding drama. They're waiting in the wings, ready to capitalize on any opportunities that may arise. This is a global game of risk, with each move potentially sparking a chain reaction that could draw in multiple countries. It's a powder keg waiting to explode, and all it takes is one wrong move, one misstep, one miscalculation, and we could see multiple countries drawn into the conflict. The stakes couldn't be higher. The world is watching, holding its breath as we teeter on the brink. The question on everyone's mind is, will we step back from the edge, or will we plunge into the abyss? You might think this doesn't affect you, But you'd be wrong. The ripples of this conflict will reach far beyond the borders of Iran and the United States, seeping into the global economy, potentially causing profound disruptions. Let's delve into the potential economic impact of this conflict. First, let's talk oil and gas. The Middle East holds a massive chunk of the world's oil reserves. In the event of an escalated conflict, we could see a sharp rise in oil prices. This isn't just about paying more at the pumps, though that's a likely outcome. Oil is the lifeblood of many industries. It powers our cars, heats our homes, and is a crucial element in many manufacturing processes. So, a surge in oil prices could trigger a domino effect, leading to increased costs for a wide range of goods and services. Next, we have supply chains. These intricate networks of production, where parts from multiple countries come together to create the products we use every day, are extremely sensitive to disruptions. If the conflict affects key shipping routes or creates instability in crucial manufacturing regions, it could send shockwaves through these networks, leading to shortages, delays, and price hikes. Then there's air travel. The Middle East is a crucial hub for global air traffic. Any conflict in the region could lead to airspace restrictions or closures, causing flight cancellations and delays. This could not only disrupt personal travel, but also impact the transport of goods, further straining supply chains. Finally, there's the threat of rising inflation. The combination of higher oil prices, disrupted supply chains, and altered flight patterns could result in a general rise in the cost of living. This means your money might not go as far as it once did, making everything from groceries to vacations more expensive. If this escalates, you won't see missiles, but you'll feel it in your bank account. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Both sides think they're winning. The United States believes its military dominance will eventually force Iran into submission, while Iran sees its capacity for regional disruption as a sustainable strategy. However, the reality is starkly different. In a war, there are no winners, only losers. And if this situation continues, everyone stands to lose. Let's look at the best-case scenario. A ceasefire is established, sanctions are eased, and there's no escalation of conflict. This would reduce tensions, allowing for diplomatic conversations to resume, potentially opening the door to a more peaceful future. It would also stabilize global markets and keep oil prices in check. Unfortunately, this is not the only possible outcome. The worst-case scenario is chilling. We could see a full regional war, with the Strait of Hormuz blocked. This narrow waterway is a vital artery for global oil supply, and its closure would have catastrophic effects on the global economy. In this scenario, the world would likely plunge into a recession. Gas prices would skyrocket, supply chains would be disrupted, and the cost of everyday goods would surge. The ripples of this conflict would touch every corner of the globe, from the gas stations in the United States to the factories in China, from the bustling markets of India to the quiet streets of Norway. This worst-case scenario isn't just a dystopian vision of the future. It's a real possibility, and it's just one bad decision away. As tensions rise and stakes escalate, the margin for error narrows. A single miscalculation could light the fuse that leads to full-blown war. So, the real question isn't, is there a war? It's, how long before it becomes uncontrollable? And when it does, it won't stay in the Middle East. The impacts of this conflict, if not managed quickly and effectively, will be felt far beyond the borders of the countries involved, affecting global stability and prosperity. The uncomfortable truth is that this isn't just a regional issue, it's a global one.